Whoa, goodness golly, boys. Took me a while to get this set up, but the podcast is back for now, at least, for the foreseeable future. Get this mic here, all right. So I'm gonna do this kind of Sam Sulek vibe. I don't really wanna do edits, I kind of just wanna keep it kind of simple and yeah, we'll get into content. I want to post pretty frequently, and that's kind of the goal of it. As you guys can see, I did get a new car. I spent my whole life saving on it, so that's exciting, but hopefully it's not too loud. I'll put it in comfort. I'll get into it. So basically, Isaiah and I, as you guys know, we'll start out by just saying we did change the service. The lighting's kind of crappy in here. It is a lot more affordable right now at the moment. So if you guys are, interested in doing that, I would strongly encourage you to do that. We did cut the price seriously. I don't know how long it'll stay, hopefully for a while. But, obviously we run a business. I wanted to be able to help as many people as possible. So if you're serious about getting better, and you want to train hard and you're about it, I don't care what type of athlete you are, I would seriously consider looking at working with us. We have been doing this for a long ass time and I love it. It's my whole life, it's my whole passion. I love coaching Isaiah, I love coaching pros. Just want to say that. So again, $99 a month for what you get is crazy. You get a chat with me and Isaiah. I'll individualize your programming. You get a group call where you can come and ask questions and get even more individuality and even more specificity. And on that note, something about individuality, because someone was like, oh, well, not to call anyone out, but someone was like, oh, it's not that individualized. And I was like, well, actually, it's not true. And so we have like this misunderstanding about individuality. I feel like people don't actually understand like what individuality actually is. Right? Like when people say it's individualized, I think what they think is that everyone should have these wildly different exercises, right? And I used to think that too. I used to be like, oh, well, should I be doing lunges or squats because I need to individualize this better? Should I be doing this or this because I need to individualize this better? Should I do ollies at all because I need to individualize it? And the reality is all of that stuff, don't get me wrong, it's very important, but specificity is king. So turn on some more light, better lighting. Specificity is king. What that basically means is you should be, if you want to get better at jumping, that means that you have to, there's certain lifts that no matter what, whether you're 1 foot or 2 foot, or you suck at certain things or you're good at certain things, you should still be doing, right? And I think that I used to think, oh, well, I don't need to do this at all because, of X, Y, or Z reason. And that's just not true unless you're going to do just strictly deficit training, which honestly, there's nothing wrong with deficit training. I think it's fine to do deficit training. If you don't know what that is, it basically means that there's something you want to work on and you're bad at it, you're deficient at it, and so you just hammer away at that specific thing, until you're at whatever, let's say hypothetically an elite level at that thing. So for example, if I'm really weak, I might only do, hopefully I don't wreck my car here. So if I'm really weak, hypothetically, I'm only gonna do, oh, there's a police car. What is that? That was crazy. I don't even know what that was. And you get really good at that thing. There's nothing, nothing wrong with that. Oftentimes, it's a very short-term fix for a long-term problem. So if you want to get long-term better, that means that there's certain things you have to do. You're always going to have to probably squat. You're always going to have to probably, I'm trying to think of other quick examples off the top of my head. You're probably always going to have to do ollies. You're probably always going to have to do jumping in some form, right? And so you can't pull that out and be like, oh, well, what's more important, individuality or specificity? Specificity is more important. Easily. I will say where individuality really comes in is with injuries. I think that's probably the most relevant place that individuality, because there are certain training laws, remember, right? You have specificity, you have individuality, you have variety, you have rest and recovery. You always have to follow those kind of principles. But if you're like pulling out certain exercises because you're like, oh, well, I need to be individualized, I'm a 1 foot jumper, I only need to do 1 foot exercises. Like, that's stupid. That's a bad idea. You should still squat. You should still do ollies with 2 legs. Like, there's a lot of coaches that are like, we gotta individualize, we gotta make it specific. Oh, there's a heavy camera, let me tighten this down. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so on that note, I just want to add that because I get a lot of questions about that stuff, and it's kind of car's squeaking a little bit. It's relevant, but people just overdo it way too much. Oh, we're stabilized there. This mic, man, I hope it doesn't disconnect. Hopefully you guys can hear me the whole time, and the mic sounds okay. I think it sounds okay though. So on that note, yeah, I'm going today to the gym. After that quick rant, I'm gonna go to UCF. Isaiah's gonna be there, Austin's gonna be there. Isaiah was supposed to be in this, but he forgot that we were supposed to meet there at 1:30, so he won't be like late, but it'll be like a little bit offset in terms of time. So the goal is today for him, he's gonna do some plyometric cycle. He's in specific prep right now, so basically he's doing like a level of very, very specific plyos, very specific lifting to try to optimize his fatigue, but also adaptation, right? So you can't have fatigue without, well, you can't have adaptation without fatigue. Fatigue's always gonna follow adaptation because that's what happens when you adapt. You break down tissue, the tissue adapts, it gets stronger, and you get better. And so that's what the purpose of the cycle is very specific. We're trying to get a lot of very specific adaptation to the tendons, to the muscles. When we look at plyos, there's a lot of different kind of research out there in terms of like, do tendons actually adapt, or do we just improve performance, or are we just seeing joint stiffness go up? In my opinion, it doesn't matter. What matters is the performance. It does matter, but performance at the end of the day is the goal, and joint stiffness is a measure of that in a sense. Like it's a key performance indicator. So we're going to try to improve joint stiffness by doing a lot of these plyos. Right now, Isaiah's actually doing longer stretch shortening cycles during his exercises. So you'll see double dips, you'll see rocket jumps, you'll see star jumps, like a lot of these exercises that have very long amortization periods. And the reason for that is because we're trying to go from lower intensities to higher intensities. And the peak forces on the ground at least are lower. Intramuscularly, they're probably not, it's hard to say if they're higher. Everything's kind of equated at the end of the day. Like your muscle can only generate so much tension. Sometimes the muscle is gonna be stronger at a certain like knee joint angle or position, but generally speaking, you know, your muscle's only gonna be able to produce so much force regardless, right? So that's like kind of along the length tension relationship, and this is related to what I'm saying, believe it or not. This is not a tangent. So if Isaiah's like in a deep squat and doing these double dip jumps, which is like where you dip and then jump out of it, what's gonna happen is he's gonna get stronger at those points where he's amortizing. And his muscle is at a long length where generally speaking muscles are weak. So if you look at like the length tension relationship and cross bridge theory, I guess this is what it's called, sliding filament theory. What happens is you basically have a bridging of myosin and actin, which are the active parts of a muscle tissue, and those bridge together and they kind of creep and crawl. It's called sliding filament theory. We don't even know if it's 100% accurate, but it's the driving kind of way that it works. And so when you're at those end ranges, you have less cross bridging, meaning you have less binding sites between myosin and actin to allow for force production. And Isaiah is trying to improve his force production even in spite of that, because when you jump, you have the whole range of motion to produce force, but if you can produce more force earlier and you also produce more force later in the movement, hypothetically you should be able to jump higher. And that's kind of the logic behind it, where we're trying to get good at those end ranges, so we're amortizing a lot at those positions. You have poor leverage, and leverage is kind of a weird thing. Maybe there's a different time where we can talk about that. But Isaiah is trying to produce force in spite or in light of that poor leverage in those positions. So yeah, he's going to be doing like those types of plyos. He may play. I know he has like some hip thing going on right now, and well, he definitely has a hip thing going on right now. You guys probably know that. And his PFP is the number one thing that is kind of a risk of him getting more injured. And PFP is basically like, it's patellofemoral pain, and usually it's referred to like anterior superior knee pain, but which means like upper frontward knee pain. But it also, to me, like chondromalacia, or it's a kind of a type of arthritis, basically just means your cartilage is wearing down. There's different types of cartilage, hyaline cartilage, fibrocartilage, and his hyaline cartilage is wearing down in that area. But I like to think of it in terms of like glossing the joint. So if you don't load it too frequently, like usually every other day, you're fine. But this cycle, Isaiah is loading it 2 days in a row. So he's got to be pretty careful with that. So that's why I'm really managing his jump volume right now. I don't want to have him play or jump too much. He might be able to play, but it's like not going to be dunking, or shouldn't be at least, if he has any level of self-control, which I doubt he will, but we'll see. Austin is with me. We are gonna jump today to some capacity. Austin right now is having this weird thing happen where he doesn't have the strength to yield appropriately during amortization. So he'll go to do a jump, and then basically like his leg will give out, and he'll say like, oh, my hip gave out. It's kind of like a flat tire, but Austin's flat tire happens because his rec fem isn't strong enough. And I kind of assessed it the other day, and we're trying to, what I want to do at least is I want to load it. I want to load that rec fem to the point where rectus femoris, which is like an anterior quad muscle, I want to load it to the point where he can handle those takeoffs, those fast, low takeoffs, because if he can get in position to do it and he can get out of that position, it means he's going to jump really, really high. Whereas like someone like me, I can kind of get in those positions, but not like Austin can. And he can apply force like well. So he'll hammer the takeoffs, but what happens oftentimes is he pushes into the ground so hard, kind of throws his heel into the ground, slaps the foot down, ball the foot down, hear like a loud popping sound, and it's hard for him to get out of that position again. So I want to get him so strong that even when he does that, he can get out of that position and actually get a lot of lift, because it means he's low and fast. Someone just gave me a thumbs up. So that'll be the end goal for what we want to do with him. But this cycle, he was going into it, he was saying, I don't jump enough, I'm too fatigued, I'm jumping like garbage. And he always has like a false lens about how well he's actually jumping. So I just told him, go in today and view it like you're getting takeoffs in, right? I want to load that tissue in the most specific way possible, meaning I want to load his rectus femoris, that anterior quad muscle, in the most specific way possible, being jumping. So we're gonna go in there, we're gonna have him do takeoffs. I don't know how many he'll do, because he did jump on Thursday and his knee was bothering him a little bit. Now it's fine. I think it just had a bad takeoff or whatever. And me, I'm gonna do the same thing. So I tend to jump better when I jump more. I will say my quads have been like actually sore, which is crazy because that usually doesn't happen, because I have been having a lot of jump sessions and I've been pushing my intent up. I do think I'm adapting. I did have to cut the session on Thursday because I didn't over jump. I was trying tamalas, and you have to be really quick with your switch, like leg switch. Because I don't have a lot of internal rotation, I kind of rotate my legs outwards when I did it, and that loads the adductor more. And if you follow this, good job, because it is a little complex. And that essentially made it so that I tweaked that muscle. So I'm going to try to not do that again, and hopefully it'll be okay this go around, today. But again, we'll kind of see how that goes. I'm on my third cup of coffee. That usually does help. I will film the session. You guys will be able to see it. It's going to be kind of a unique way to do this. I am 100% stealing Sam Sulek's method, like 1,000%. It's not even a question. But I feel like what we're doing is more interesting. Bodybuilding is kind of lame. No, I'm kidding. Sam's cool. Like, he's like a cool guy, actually. I would be interested to meet him. But I want to just get more consistent with posting, have you guys watch the sessions, be able to see what we're doing, see my line of reasoning with it, go over some of the things that go through my head every day. These drives are really nice because I have a lot of time to do that. These videos will be longer. They're going to be more or less podcasts. Maybe we can get other people in the car and talk, but who knows when that'll happen. I'm going to have to find ways to do that. I might have Donovan come visit in January. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. I would love to have him come down. I think it would be really cool. So yeah, that's currently what the plan is. I will talk to you guys. Well, I don't know if I'll talk to you guys, but I'll try to keep you in mind when I'm doing the session. Try to give you guys some insight maybe. And then I'll get you on the ride home. Maybe Isaiah and I will drive somewhere, but I'll talk to you then. All right, guys, so I just got done at the court. I'm gonna go to the coffee shop. There's really nothing from that that's worth showing you guys. I ended up warming up. My adductor was kind of a little tight, and I was like, oh, I know I probably shouldn't pull this. It got tight the other day during tamales, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna not do that. And yeah, Isaiah did his plyos. He got through a good amount of those, and Austin did a little bit of jumping. The hip thing, I tested it. I did muscle testing, manual muscle testing. Usually I don't like manual muscle testing, but because I didn't know what was going on with his hip, I was like trying to figure it out. So I was like, let me do some manual muscle testing and see like if it's flexion or if it's abduction or something else. And it turns out it was flexion. So Austin couldn't do, like, even if he pushed with a very low effort, he was not able to do really anything. Like, he couldn't apply any force into my hand at all if he was pushing. He tried pushing as hard as he could, and it felt like dude, a 6-year-old could have pushed harder with their hip than what Austin was doing. So I kind of knew, like, all right, this dude's not, 100% right now. He's fatigued or something else is going on. And then kind of looked at it some more, and he's like, oh, it's this big muscle right here, which is his actual TFL. And then his rec fem. So sometimes the adductor and TFL are like agonist antagonist, meaning a prime mover and like a supporting muscle. And for whatever reason, when Austin goes to jump off one foot, I guess it fatigues that, or it's like his hip joint or something, and it gets to the point where it gets like this tight, kind of uncomfortable position. So we do, I think, need to get that stronger because the output was really low. So it's either something neurological going on with it, or it's just the muscles atrophied because maybe his adductor's contracting harder than what it should be. I don't know, honestly, yet. These are just some theories, some hypotheses to see what's going on. But I am going to probably have him load it tomorrow. We probably won't jump until Friday or Saturday. Yeah, we tried to play and it was not good. They were just like super aggressive and fouling, and I was like, this is stupid. Why are we doing this? So decided to cut that, and then Isaiah did some plyos. His plyos went really well, actually. He's pretty fatigued right now, so I think, his like legs are basically giving out when he's going to jump. So it's probably because of the stretch shortening cycles and like the specificity of the cycle that he's on right now. And I'm sure he'll post probably something from it, so you guys will see. I think that's probably why. I, on the other hand, I don't know if I said this already, but yeah, my adductor is pretty tight, so I didn't jump. I will probably just cycle off of what I've been doing recently. I tried to jump twice a week on load management to see if I could get some juice back, and it's just too high a frequency of jumping. So my outputs are higher and everything, but the frequency of jumping is just a little bit too intense, and I haven't been able to really make the most of my kind of time with those sessions. So I'm kind of pivoting away from that or moving away from that. I love doing what I call the John Evans special. It's one of the things that like I jump consistently high on, and that is basically a loading on Monday, and Wednesday's really easy, and then you jump on Friday, and typically when I do that, I jump really, really well. So I'll probably pivot back to doing that for at least a little bit, or I'll just go back into loading with Isaiah. Maybe we'll try to do some plyos, we'll see. Generally speaking, plyos fatigue me for a really long time, so I don't like to do them like a ton. Everyone's different with that. I feel like some people respond really well to plyos, other people don't. I had a really good conversation today with the Duke track coach, who's like a good friend of mine, Mark, about it, and I think it depends on the density and it depends on what plyos you pick. So if you're doing like really high depth drops, that stuff is going to be really like fatiguing and irritating almost. And if you're doing like a lot of bounding for height and stuff like that, I think it can just fatigue you a lot. So yeah, I'm gonna see potentially what I'm gonna do, like some thinking about. I'm gonna think about it probably today, try to figure out what makes the most amount of sense, and then go from there. I didn't sleep super well last night, so it's also maybe why my body doesn't feel like great, but that's not really an excuse to me. I've unloaded enough where it shouldn't matter. I had caffeine, like I don't know. I haven't dunked at UCF well. I haven't dunked well at UCF really ever. Maybe one time after playing, but then outside of that, I've not done too well. I don't know why that is. I just don't. So I don't think I'll dunk there anymore. Probably just go to 24. And yeah, that'll be the plan moving forward. So hope you guys like this format. Wish I had more to share with you guys, but I don't. I'll probably just edit this and put it up on YouTube today. And as always, guys, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Motivates me to keep producing content. If you are looking for coaching and you want to get better as an athlete, please consider signing up for coaching. It's my passion, it's my joy. I like to think that Isaiah and I are better than anyone else in the world about it. We're always learning, we're always being open-minded to things. So yeah, consider it if you're interested, and sign up for that. And yeah, I'll catch you guys tomorrow. I'll try this again, try to get in a rhythm of it, and keep posting. So see you guys. Hopefully Isaiah will be on tomorrow. Bye.